Today we'll be discussing creating timeless interiors and design. I'm delighted to welcome our experts, Denise O'Connor, architect designer of Optimised Design, and Aoife Tobin, founder of Style So Simple. Before we start the discussion, a quick reminder that the spring show is on from Friday the 21st to Sunday the 23rd of April at the RDS Simmons Court. It promises to be a fantastic show packed with choice, advice and inspiration for your home. There's a very special offer of 2 free adult tickets on the day of your choice, but it's only for a very limited time, so make sure you book your tickets as soon as you can at idealhome.ie. Today's topic is creating timeless interiors and design. In the age of social media, it can be so easy to fall down a rabbit hole of trends. So how do we identify our personal interior style and create a space that we can love forever? Both Denise and Aoife are experts in creating interiors that serve practically and inspire aesthetically, and we're here today brimming with advice on how to achieve timeless interiors and design. Aoife and Denise, so excited to be here with you guys today. Thank you so much for joining us. I mentioned there in the intro about how, we've never had so much inspiration. It's everywhere you go. And while that's fantastic, it can also be a little bit difficult and overwhelming. So I'd love to start by asking both of you, how do we identify what our interior style is? Denise, I might start with you.
Yeah, sure. I know it is. It's a really overwhelming topic.
Yeah.
And I think especially over the last few years where everything was online, people just spend so much time looking at images from everywhere, there was so many resources. But I think when it comes to your home, I guess it kind of sounds a bit silly, but you really need to trust your gut. That's your absolute best indication to what you do and you don't like, because I think you're looking online, you're looking at other people's homes. Is that really how you want to live? Is that really how your family interact with each other? So I think it's stepping back and sort of thinking, well, what kind of atmosphere do I want to create in my home? How do I want to feel when I'm in my home? And then I think try and project into the future as far as you possibly can. Because another thing I see people do is, they kind of fix the situation right now, whereas really important to kind of think into the future. For example, if you've little kids or something, they're going to get big eventually, so your needs are going to change, and your style will change as well over time. So yeah, I think it's a little bit of soul searching and really focusing on the atmosphere and the ambience that you're trying to create.
I love that. Aoife, how would you say? Would you agree?
I really think you hit the nail on the head there when you said it's your gut and what you love, and just even on the topic of it being timeless, if you love something, it'll always be timeless. And we can be totally overwhelmed now with different styles and different homes and images and stuff like that. I rarely find that one person is one particular style. They have elements of different styles, so it really is about what you love.
And when it comes back to then people trying to figure it out and decide it, do you think it really comes down to then just spending a little bit of time, as you both mentioned, just what actually works for you? Because there's a big difference between liking something and admiring something and actually wanting to live in it. If you're a minimalist, you can admire a maximalist room, but you won't want to live in it. So it does need to come back to how you want to live, essentially.
100%. And I do find, let's say if you're starting from scratch and starting your interior, tools like I use Pinterest all the time with clients. So you could start a board that could be living room or could be kitchen, and you can put in loads of images that you like, and then go into them and try see what elements you like. You'll probably find that there's a lot of rooms that have similar elements, and that can really be an indication whether it's a material or it's a sofa that you like that, as opposed to all these different images that have that one element. Does that make sense?
That's smart. So if you are one of these people who has 20 million Pinterest boards, which
many
people do.
I do myself.
So that's a great tip. Look for the common themes, and by pulling out the themes, you might actually get to kind of figure out what colours you're interested in. That's a really, really great idea. I love that. Denise, what are the most common mistakes or pitfalls people make when they're approaching an interior project?
I think, again, it's coming back to the fact that there was so much time spent online. I think when we're researching projects now, like Aoife was saying, Pinterest is an amazing tool, Instagram is an amazing tool. So very easy to sort of hone in on that as your source of inspiration. But I think what people sometimes don't realise is you're seeing snippets, you're seeing very carefully curated images, and the reality of experiencing some of those spaces could feel very, very different. So I think now that we can get out again and explore places and visit showrooms and things like that, really important to do that. Go and see things, go and touch things, sit in sofas, see the fabrics, even visit some of these amazing places if you can that you've seen online, and see how you feel, because you know, we've all had the experience of sitting in a room that we might have seen a picture of, whether it's a restaurant or something, and thinking, wow, it feels so different. You know, I couldn't imagine myself living here, or I couldn't imagine my living room being painted in this particular colour. So get out and try and experience places as much as you can.
Well, speaking of that, is there places that both of you love to go to get that hit of inspiration? Do you like to try out new restaurants, go to a hotel, interior stores? Where do you get that? Because obviously you guys are always looking for inspiration too, and always trying to find new ideas.
I find it through travel. Like when I travel somewhere, I'll usually go into either, like let's say New York, I can't even remember the name of it now, but they had an amazing place that was all interior design stores and everything like that. So seeing what other interior designers are doing, going to Restoration Hardware or something like that. So when I travel, I find I get a lot of inspiration. But like that, then if it's at home, period houses, restaurants.
Yeah. I think we're very lucky in our jobs. You know, we get to see a lot of homes. We get to see, you know, so many different ways of life, how people live. So that in itself, and I think talking to people is really inspiring and gives you a really good sense about what people want, how they want to live. And then for me personally, I love fashion. So I love clothes shops, and I love fabrics and colour, and even movies, things like that. You know, how they put colours together. I think everything.
You're like in my head. It's absolutely movies. Like it's in
So there's so much inspiration out there, and I think even for people to realise that, you know, maybe people love clothes, love shopping. So how do they dress? Can they bring a little bit of that into their home? So inspiration.
I think that's very true, because actually how you dress really does show your interior style as well. Like I feel like the way I dress is really similar to my interior style. There's like a basic neutral, then there's like a colour that I usually like, and it's really
well, I've no leopard print at home, but very different. But it is just about your personality and how you kind of get that across. So,
and great to remind people that, you know, even if they are at home, they can watch a movie, you know, go on YouTube, just look for that inspiration everywhere and see what really makes your heart sing. Aoife, something that came up over and over again when I put out the question box was people who are either moving into a new build or they've had a lot of work done in the house and they literally have a blank canvas. For some people that's their dream, they just want to be able to start from scratch, but for some people that can be really intimidating. So where should they start? Is it a particular item? Is it a particular texture? Like, what advice would you give them?
Yeah, so again, I would actually advise people to have a little look on Pinterest and do that with the boards, get a lot of images per room. So it could be living room, kitchen, and you can have lots of images, but then go in and kind of curate it and see which ones are standing out. I would also look at, let's say, the function of the room to see what your primary products are going to be. So let's say in a living room, could be quite similar to this. You want conversational areas. So you're really going to have to zone in and focus and see what you want in your sofa. Those are going to be your primary products. In dining area, it's going to be your tables and your dining chairs.
And do you think some people will often say, I've bought a new house and I've wanted this sofa for, 8 years since I was thinking about a house. Do you think it's okay for people to have one piece and work a room around it if it's something that they really love or something that they've brought with them? Or do you think you need to take into account everything before you make that decision?
No, I don't. I think that if there's definitely, that's a really good place to start. If there's a piece that somebody loves and they want to work around that, I think that's something you love. Working around that in your interior is absolutely fantastic. And if you didn't have that and you were looking, let's say, through inspiration, either going into restaurants or period homes or looking at fashion or Pinterest, you're trying to find that piece that you love. So I think if you have a piece you love, that's fantastic.
And would you agree, Denise?
Oh, definitely, yeah. And often people will have, maybe family members
something.
Giving them
there's always something, yeah.
Because it's expensive, particularly if you're starting from scratch with a whole house. So definitely, I think it's a nice way to sort of start a scheme.
Absolutely, and you can start pulling textures from it, colours from it. I find as well, in Ireland, we're really lucky as well with the scenic views that we have. That would be a place that I would start pulling inspiration from if I want to create a timeless interior. So let's say down in Kerry, there's always really amazing views. So you might pick a material or an element to showcase on the interior.
I love that.
Gorgeous.
That's really cool. And you mentioned it there, Aoife, but what we're talking about today is this timeless design, and that can be a very different definition for everyone.
Yes.
Denise, what does that mean for you?
I think for me, you know, I love the idea that you sort of give yourself a base that you can build on over time. So another, like you mentioned mistakes earlier that people make, Joe, and one of them that I see, and you know, it's happening more and more now, is people feeling like they have to have everything perfect as soon as they move in. And really, like, a home is something that absolutely has to evolve. And it's funny, I was reading about a designer just before I came in here, and she was saying she just did up her new house and stuff. And even she said that in the last 5 years, her style has changed slightly and evolved. You know, so she didn't finish everything straight away. She just kept adding to it. And I think that way you end up with stuff that means more. You know, it's a more sustainable way to furnish your home. You're not rushing out and feeling like you have to fill every nook and cranny. So that's okay. You know, take your time with it, enjoy it, and there's no pressure, no rush to finish things. Yeah, sorry. When you were saying enjoy it, that's the thing I think is really important as well. People they do get quite stressed with it, and I can understand it as well because it's a big project. But it should be enjoyed as well. It should be something that is nice to do. And keeping your core pieces, if you kind of get those, you can build and you can like layer the design, which is quite nice.
And that takes some of the stress out of, as you say, having to decide on something. It's like, get your core pieces in place and then see how you feel over time. Something Patricia and you both talked about earlier was that they really encourage people to live in a space before making big decisions. Would you both agree, Aoife?
Absolutely. Living in a space will make you understand how you want to live in the space and what way it's going to work for you and for your family. The things that I'd mainly say to people that they obviously do need to think about, let's say flooring would be a key item that you want to get that right from the start, so maybe keeping that quite neutral is a good idea. I like to add in things like, if we're in a new build, adding in coving. That can really give a historical element that can look really, really nice in the space. Especially with the, I don't know, that's possibly my style, but with a lot of the new builds, when they're missing those features, when you add them, they just add a lot to them. Yeah, or built-in joinery, that sort of thing, or panelling, or, you know, so again, that comes down to putting your own stamp on it. Yes,
you know?
and
it's a lovely way to sort of differentiate yourself in a new build. You know, where there might be lots and lots of houses all the same, at least you can put your own stamp on it. And
that's it. When you're going into them, in the estates especially, they are all the same on the inside. So making it that bit individual. And when you say joinery, that's one thing that'll always keep it quite timeless, is having quality and craftsmanship. So like, let's say this is like a Chesterfield sofa. To me, it's always timeless. That's always going to work. So going for quality.
So in terms then of the quality piece, you know, something that comes up a lot is, you know, especially if you have just bought a house, you might not have a great budget. So would you guys suggest, like, again, taking your time to invest in quality? You know, there's probably a temptation to just buy the quick fix and get it all done, but you would both say that quality is important. Denise, you think so?
Definitely. And I think for the sort of the key pieces, like your sofa, like your bed, you know, I would encourage people to invest in the best quality they can afford. So sort of it is worth pushing the boat out there. There's other bits and pieces, particularly with kids, that, you know, it doesn't really matter. Things will get a little bit, you know, worn. And that's okay too. But yeah, certainly for the bigger items, I think, you know, in the long run, it's a wiser investment. For sure.
Your investment pieces, that's the way I'd actually that's what I'd call them to clients. I break it down between, like, okay, so the function in this room, you need to have a really, really good sofa. That's your investment piece. In the bedroom, it's going to be your bed and your mattress, which aesthetically is nothing, but that is something people have to invest in. So figuring out what your investment pieces are, and that's a good way to put it as well. Get the best quality that you can allow for in your budget.
What came up a lot as well is that, you know, I talked about it a little bit earlier, our homes are so multifunctional now after what we've been through over the last few years, and so they're having to work in a way that they never have first before. So when you're both dealing with clients, is that something that they ask you about? Like, this, you know, I have this spare room, but like, it's a spare room, but then during the week it's an office, and then it does the clothes drying. Do you have any advice for clients who are trying to make their homes just work on so many different levels? What do you think, Aoife?
So it depends on the area, but I would find for young families, what's really important is a lot of hidden storage. So let's say we have a lot of open plan living spaces as well. So I find a built-in bench or joinery is really, really good because you can kind of hide the kids' toys in it, things like that. I've seen a lot of spaces now as well that are incorporating a built-in area with a desk, that people are working from home. If they have a young family, they need to be able to access work and family life at the same time. So I guess, yes, it is about getting those functional areas, and I find going bespoke joinery really works with that.
That makes a lot of sense. Jean, are you the same?
Yeah, like the bespoke joinery is, I know it's more expensive than going and buying something off the shelf, but it gives you so much more bang for your buck.
Yes,
definitely.
It's where you want to put your money in because it's bespoke.
It is, and it can, it's amazing. Like we've done stuff where people might have CD collections or really unusual things that they really love, and that's part of what they do. You can have it tailored perfectly to suit them, whereas how are they going to find something off the shelf? They're just not, you know. And the same, definitely the working from home thing, or kids study spaces, and that develops with people then as well.
Exactly, at the moment it could be for mom and dad to work at, but then as the kids get older it could be a place where they're doing homework so they and that is something I find you can mimic it, but getting a craftsman to do it, that's where I would invest.
Definitely, it's worth it.
And as you said, they're creating it especially for your specific needs, which is just worth its weight in gold. Another thing that I'd love to ask you about is, both of you are really well known for just stunning design. Like it feels so luxe and so considered, and that's an aesthetic that everyone wants to achieve in
That's
their
so
home.
nice.
It's true. If we could just plug into you for all the designs, it'd be great. But for people who want to really achieve a little bit of luxury in their home that maybe don't have a massive budget, is there one item or one thing that you think in a room can actually just elevate it and make it feel really special? Denise, what do you think?
Oh, so many things. I'm thinking, first of all, for me, colour is really, really important. And I think, going with something that you can build on. So I know it sounds strange, but fairly neutral, I think is a lovely base. And then add in your layers with your artwork, things like that. I think the little details can make a big difference too. But I think it has to reflect your personality. So, and I think 100%. That's where people can often go wrong. So for me, like, I love sort of ceramics and I love plants, things like that. Things that are just a little bit different. Lighting is huge as well, and an easy way to achieve impact, because you can do wonderful things with lamps, that sort of thing. Mirrors, if your space is small, mirrors are wonderful.
Yeah, I love that with a small space. A little bit of lighting and mirrors can do so much even in a small space. And again, thinking about people who are maybe renting or apartment living in a smaller space.
Brilliant.
Those are things that really can elevate it and that you can take with you as well. So, if you don't have that budget, what do you think of that?
I think, and I've actually found this from renting forever, something that's high impact, that's not very costly. You can get costly, but you can also get very good economical ones, are large area rugs. So let's say in a living room, having your large area rug, to me, it can give a lot of personality on the person, and it will show their personality, and it also has a high visual impact when you walk in. And then just even taking a tweak out of that or colour out of that in artwork, it keeps it nice and consistent.
Beautiful.
And has high impact.
And really easy for everyone to achieve, because I think rugs are very divisive. You know straight away whether you love a rug or not. So maybe that's a good starting point.
And I think this is where I actually find Instagram and Pinterest really good, because it's showing homeowners how to do things the right way. So let's say the sizing of the rug is what's going to make it fail or not. So if you have a rug that's too small in your living room, that's going to make it look, it's just not going to work, and it's not going to make it look luxurious at all. Whereas if you have a larger rug that is sitting with the armchairs and everything, it's going to make a really nice communal area. Same with hanging your artwork, that it's hanging from the right distance, things like that. And all of those, or it's the right scale for your sofa, things like that have a huge impact on a design. And you can just search that now on any platform and find out what the sizes are. I even recheck them often.
No, for sure. And I think the little rule of thumb, maybe go bigger than you think.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, but even with art, even with rugs, it's not so bad to have a rug that's too big, but definitely if it's too small, everything's going to feel a little bit out of proportion.
It's on an island. It's literally, if you do that and you had a little rug here and the coffee table was there, it would feel disconnected from us. And then your coffee table is on an island, on its own, in the middle of the floor.
Yeah, and we've all been in a room where rugs being too small. We just thought something's not right. You don't want to relax in that kind of room.
I like clearly have passion about it. I'm like, don't.
Well, both of your jobs encompass so much, and like I'm sure dealing with people's personalities and their dreams and wishes as opposed to what's practical. There's a lot going on. But when it comes to budget, how important is it for both of you to have that conversation and for people to know going in what they have? Denise, what do you think?
Oh, it's so important. And I know people are nervous, they're afraid that if I tell you exactly what I have, you're going to spend it all, and that really isn't the point of understanding the budget. Well, obviously it is, we need to guide you, but unless we know what the budget is, we can't advise appropriately. And especially for us who often are doing the architecture and the interiors, there's big decisions we might make if we understand that they have X to spend versus Y. And it could be the difference in having, something a little bit more dramatic with an extension versus having to pull back because we just didn't believe the budget was there, and really compromising on the space. So really, really important to be upfront about that. And then, our job is to try and advise the best way to achieve the most that you can with the money that you have.
With the budget, absolutely. And research as well on it, I think, is very important. And I like to have a very itemized list and break down areas so that clients can see where the budget is going. But having, I don't want to say realistic, just more so understanding what items cost. Like, let's say kitchens, I find, are always one that get people really shocked. But the way I break it down for clients is it's in 3 parts. So you have your carcass, which is one part, you have your counter, and then you have your appliances. And all of those 3 pieces are really important, and they're big ticket items in the interior. So knowing where the big ticket items are, like flooring is going to be a big budget, and it's going to be a big budget, it's going to be a very important piece to invest in, and it needs to be really durable, so they can usually throw people. And sometimes I feel bad when I'm saying to them, I'm like, but it's not me. It's just what they cost.
But those are the big items, the big spend.
Bathrooms really get people as well. They can be quite...
And joinery.
Joinery
is expensive too.
And it's so interesting what you've both said so far is that, sometimes these aren't like the sexiest of items. However, they are the things that actually elevate your home and really make it special over time. So
100%.
It's not the quick hit of the, whatever the cushions or the curtains, but it is something that will pay off over time. So really great to be clear about that from the get-go. When you are both working with so many different people all the time, is there something that you would love your clients to know before they come to you? Like, is there a little bit of advice, or is there something that maybe they could have considered or thought about besides the budget, which we now know is very important, but anything that that you'd love for the maybe it's an expectation thing, because I mean I wouldn't have a clue honestly.
And actually, go on, I have one.
Oh, do you? Go ahead.
The time that interior designers actually put into a project, so that it can also be another cost that clients get about is the interior cost, but it is something where it's very time consuming, and it should be, to make sure you're developing and researching the space properly. There's always alternatives like online design, which I obviously love and stuff like that, but if you want to employ an interior designer one-to-one to work with you for 6 months to 2 years on a project, and